Well, it's the second day of the playoffs, and the last two quarterfinals have yet to be decided. I'm Light Rose. Joining me is Alios, and I think for the game today, a lot of people have one team making it a bit further than the other. We'll see if they can get above it, but you can kind of see the standings directly, or bracket, excuse me, with Core and M80 meeting up in the semifinals. That should be a fun one.
It's definitely a game that I'm really looking forward to, and one that I really do think could go either way with Infinite OT. That should absolutely be a banger of a matchup.
Yeah, I don't know if I want Infinite OT to go super long, because I haven't actually been able to cast a lot of games with Infinite OT, and the only experience I've had with it was when Collegiate R6 went to 2:30 in the morning. So hopefully we avoid that today, but the matchup you and I have, it's going to be Team Cruelty versus JJ & Co.
It is definitely an interesting one, especially just kind of because of the stability of the to one another, as Cruelty, aside from a sub today, that being Cadence for Ivan, has been pretty stable to my knowledge, whereas JJ & Co. has been anything but stable. In fact, they had to get into the play-ins to get here. So just kind of seeing those things come together should be interesting, especially with it being, I believe, a rematch from Element 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was a matchup, but it was definitely a battered JJ & Co. You could tell that it wasn't exactly the team that everybody expected to potentially go all the way to the grand finals, and we'll see if, with Caden in for Ivan, if he can, he definitely won't probably have the same value that Ivan have, being that kind of second man for Pyrox, but if he can at least be a decent foundation for Team Cruelty to work off of, then I think they really do have something to go off of. We actually do have an interview with Fatal going over Team Cruelty in this matchup.
Hola, soy Fatal y juego para Team Cruelty. Sí, bueno, sabemos que los juegos que jugamos, la verdad, creo yo que los jugamos muy bien y nos fue bastante bien, y sabemos que los juegos que se vienen para playoffs van a ser un poco más desafiantes, entonces vamos a trabajar en eso. Sabemos que es un equipo bastante fuerte, creo que han hecho algunos cambios, no estoy muy seguro, pero ya les hemos ganado antes. Si jugamos nuestro juego, no debería ser muy difícil volverles a ganar. Sí, bueno, seguimos con los ánimos bastante altos. Las expectativas pues son las mismas que en todos los torneos. Tratar de ganarlo, tratar de llegar lo más lejos posible y echarle todas las ganas que se pueda. Creo que el player más más overrated es Skimsy de Team Cruelty.
The trash talk we get in interviews is always really funny, especially when it's your teammates. Like, I did not expect friendly fire already. We haven't even gotten into the game before we're seeing it, but I do appreciate it. It's all a good bit of fun, right? Because those players are going to be friends outside the server. Although on the flip side, we do also have JJ & Co., who, as I mentioned before, have been very unstable in this tournament so far. They've had Epic playing, they've had Empty playing, they've had Snake playing, they've had Mr. B playing. It's been a rotating cast of characters that has never really fully stabilized, which has caused a lot of turmoil, and I think also messed with the calling structure quite a bit, especially with Mr. B coming and going. So it is going to be wounded JJ & Co. that we're going to see here, and it's probably leading to some of the confidence that we're seeing from Fatal in that interview. That being said, though, can't just leave out the JJ interview. I mean, gotta see that too, because those are always fun.
Yeah, so we went 2 and 3 in groups, not ideal. Although there is some internal terrorism going on. It's been hard for me to escape internal terrorism within the team. First there was Kiru, internal terrorist, performing inside 9/11 jobs on the team. Then there's Mr. B, you know, Now, I'm not going to blame him too much, but he did terrorism us from the inside. So that's where I say I blame the group's performance on. And then I had to play a game with like 2 subs. I had to play a game out Snake. I still believe Slime Belief is fucking dog shit, and I will never lose to Banskos when I have a team that's doing what I want to do. Throw those 2 games out, I'll own the friendship team loss, but Slime Belief and Banskos fucking suck. Whether it's in this league or next league, I will not lose to either of those teams the next time I play them. So Cruelty is going to be a fun game. I think they're probably the best team in the bracket, so honestly, I think that's going to be like a really hard game, but honestly, I'm approaching this time, these guys, different this time. They knocked us out of Element. I'm not going to let that happen again. I think they're going to see a different version of us that's a lot more energized, a lot more locked in, and not really, deflated. And when they played us in Element, we were pretty cooked after losing to Joe's team. They really didn't get to see us at our best version. I think everyone's kind of mental chalked after losing that first game, so this time around, I think it's going to kind of a fresh team environment, a fresh mentality. So I don't think they're going to walk all over us. I honestly think, we're going to win the game, truthfully speaking.
Given everything in mind, the changes that he said the team had made, different expectations for Team Cruelty, we'll see if that plays a part, because you talked about the rotating cast of characters. That's going to be a really difficult hurdle to overcome, even with Cadence in for Ivan.
Yeah, but it's like 1 change versus 4, maybe 5. And like I said earlier, Mr. B going in then out, that changes the calling structure, which is always going to create a lot of awkwardness. Actually, yesterday, I believe I compared changing out your IGL to going through puberty again. So it's just a lot of awkwardness, and there's things that are unexpected that you're just kind of like, well, this is my life now. Although, should get into these map bans real quick and figure out where exactly we're going. Now, as always, Lair's taken off of the board early, which is kind of interesting because I've never casted it despite it being in the pool for so long. But we're going to end up on Skyscraper first, which is a map that I find really interesting because it is one that we would typically expect to go defender-sided, but it does also leave just enough wiggle room that the attack can commit some tomfoolery. So we'll kind of see how that ends up going here with Cruelty starting on that defense.
And especially because it was JJ's team that picked Skyscraper into Team Cruelty on Consulate. I'm not exactly, questioning everything, but I am a little quizzical as to how this will go, especially because Team Cruelty haven't had the best of success on Consulate, but it's also not the worst map. And Border being our decider, I think, is a pretty good toss-up, and I think if we do get there, will be a pretty good challenge for both of these teams. And depending on how the first 2 maps go, you and I could maybe have already picked a team to win it all going into map 3.
Yeah, I think this is a very interesting map pool just because it is 2 maps that are very kind of reliant on team play and coordination and having a solid plan. And then Border, which is often kind of known as the slugfest map. It is very, very aggressive and also very attacker favored, which is a far cry from the first 2 maps in the series. So I am looking forward to that switch up if we get it, and knowing the way games tend to work, that'll probably be where we see the infinite overtime come out if it doesn't come out in the first 2 maps. So we'll see. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, Team Cruelty went to Border up against LIS in their LCQ game, and were able to crank that out. I believe also went to against Oxygen, but unfortunately lost that game. I think, if my memory serves, I don't directly have that on hand. I have casted Team Cruelty. This is my 5th time, and if this goes to a map 3, it will be my 10th map that I've casted Team Cruelty on through 20 days. So sometimes it all just mixes together, but I get to see them again, and the expectation by almost every production member except Mr. Seth Pox on Locks is that Cruelty are going to win this.
I think that is a pretty safe prediction, to be honest. That's not really adventurous, as they are a pro league team in their own region, and they have been doing a lot better in that kind of tier 2, tier 3 competition than they were before. Just combined with, again, the fact that JJ has I mean, only recently I started to solidify things a little bit. I've actually just found out that they officially picked up Epic, so some of that is going to be stabilized, but there's still going to be some nuances missing just because that player is going to be pretty new. So, obviously, right, the expectation from both of us is a Team Cruelty victory, although it's also not out of the realm of possibility for JJ and Co to take it, as there is a fire in all of those players, and once they get the ball rolling, once they get hyped, they are absolutely a force to be reckoned with, and they could absolutely catch Team Cruelty off guard.
One thing about this, I guess, cycle of T2 with Element 4 and all the tournaments surrounding it is that nobody is unbreakable. Everybody can take a loss. SSG Academy, they won Element 4. They didn't look great going into the tournament. Friendship Team didn't do great going into the SI LCQs. They didn't make that. LIS, they made LCQs and they went 3-0, and then they got knocked out first in Element playoffs. There's so much turmoil and unexpected results in this entire cycle in the past 2 months that you are absolutely right. It is not outside the realm of possibility to see JJ and Co beat Team Cruelty. I just think it's going to be really, really difficult.
Yeah, I do definitely agree there. Although something I kind of want to point out, which is something that I think is interesting, that isn't necessarily inside of the scope of this game, but kind of affects it, is after Element is when a lot of teams are at their most awkward, in my opinion, as usually that's when roster shuffles happen. That's when people jump ship or teams decide to make changes. And that we're seeing a little bit of that with JJ and Co, right? But even like SG Academy isn't immune to it. They dropped Debates and then they dropped someone else as well. And we're looking for, I think it was 2 entries last I saw. So there has been a little bit of awkwardness amongst both these teams, obviously with Ivan having to be subbed out, but specifically with JJ as well as kind of tier 2 as a whole. So I'm very interested to see how those things conclude, what rosters that creates, and what potential storylines that can create as well, as we've often gotten some really interesting revenge runs coming out of that. And I'm sure Debates in specific is really going to be looking for that going into Element 5 when that eventually happens. Although, probably want to bring it back into this game a little bit since we do have the bans actually happening now.
There's so many things that are going to happen in between now and Element 5. I think it's to postulate on what's the potential storylines are happening there. I don't even worry about it. We've got SI, we've got the new format next year, Challenger Series, all that. Doesn't matter. We're in the Crucible now. That's what I think we have to focus on. We can talk about the first 2 bans, Blackbeard and Blitz. Nothing too surprising. I think allowing Monty in may create some shield play over by the black door. That is something that a lot of teams do like to use. Osa can also be used interchangeably, even though Osa isn't as strong as Monty, the chance is there.
So this last defender ban is going to be the Valkyrie, who is, I mean, I would say a pretty default ban. I don't know about UV, but she just has so much versatility with a solid gun to use, solid secondary, even that C4, those cams. There's just never a bad sight for Valkyrie. You're never wasting utility by picking her. So we'll see how that goes. And actually, I do believe at one point when you and I were watching JJ and Co play on this map, we did see that JJ and Co do really like that Monty when they're on the attack, although I'd argue they don't always use it the most effectively, but it did get the job done enough.
I've never been a strong supporter of the JJ Monty. I've never seen plays where I've been like, wow, he played that really well. I'm glad that they brought the Monty, but he still brings it, and it can work. Yeah, he is showing that. So I could potentially get shown up right here, or I could have my point reinforced completely. There's a lot of potential with this round, as well as resided on the Amaru, which keep your eye on that office hatch.
Yeah, Monty is an operator that I like a lot because he's very versatile with the way it can be used, because The most kind of thing you're probably thinking of when you think of a Monty is walking at a guy, maybe with a person behind you, but you can also sit back and give comms to your teammates. You can cut off an angle, so you can lure someone into a better gunfight. Like, there are a lot of things you can do with him, and you can switch between doing those in the round as well. And with JJ wanting to do this block side overclear, the Monty is a very good operator to facilitate that. Especially with things like that Grim and Recited, as well getting that opener onto Pyrox that makes their job a lot easier. And JJ, on top of that, is using this Monty to gather some information on that mezzanine side, so the rest of his team can be a little more comfortable with the ground they're about to take.
That is also something we see the Amaru get used for, is to zip into karaoke, get there very quickly. And it's clear that Team Cruelty weren't really expecting that, and taking Pyrox off the table this early in the game and this early in the round is going to be extremely helpful. Resided goes up map control for this team. It shuts down an area of the map that Team Cruelty now have to be very, very afraid if they want to push forward. They actually have somebody down below that's going to be Skimzy in delivery, who has a C4 available. Has not been detonated, but keep your eye on that, as JJ and Co are making wonderful time with this. JJ is in Dragon, assisted by Epic, and they can just wait it out. Set up these flank drones so that Skimzy doesn't catch them off guard, and maybe you're able to push in very, very quickly.
They can also use those Dokubi calls to kick Pyrox off cams once they want to go for something faster. Rosetta gets the second kill. JJ is pushing for this player on house stairs as well. It's only 50 seconds left, but they have a solid chance to make it work, especially with Recited on that triple kill down below as he's about to go up this hatch.
Actually an ace on the horizon, but as I say that, it's Epic to collect a flawless round to begin with. And it was Recited who started off with a kill onto Pyrox. He's not going to be the one to end it, but a very defiant opening from this team. This is their map pick, I think, unless the selection up top is going to be a little deceiver. Then clearly they have some expectations going into this map, and already they've fulfilled it, getting one round on their attack.
Yeah, very, very good round as well. I like the way they played that a lot, where they took very quick control over on that black karaoke side of the map, and then they used that to kind of mount the foothold they needed off of that pick that Recited got. And then once they started inching closer to the site and taking things like Shrine and Drum, they sent players over into other areas of the map, right? They had Recited go and take that gunfight with Skimzy down below. They had, I forget who's on the Dokubi, playing outside of the windows, making the calls, and they sent the Monty in off of that. So no matter where Cruelty tried to go, there was always a gun looking at them, and because they were in a 3 versus 5, I believe at that point the execute went down, they didn't have the proper body coverage for the site, so there were a lot of gaps that JJ and Co could hit to further cause rotations amongst those defenders.
Especially for Team Cruelty, without Ivan, a lot of pressure gets put onto Pyrox, because the way those two kind of work in synergy makes it so that there's such a deadly duo. It's like, okay, you dealt with Pyrox, now you got to deal with Ivan. Now it's just deal with Pyrox, and it's Recited to get another opener. And I believe that was Caden just not being careful, getting shut down on that black stairs window. And the brick on Pyrox's shoulders gets heavier and heavier as the expectation to bail them out of these rounds gets higher and higher. You almost maybe can bait Matumbo into this window, but I don't think he's going to fall for it. But he is also going to use his smoke canisters very, very early. Everything just going JJ and Co's way.
He is dealing a little bit of damage to that Monty and potentially delaying some time, but he's also being hunted down here. If he tries to get out, then Emilio has that position. We'll see if that continues to work out for them. We're just going to sit here right now, see if we could potentially find anything. While the rest of JJ and Co, their main focus is going to be on getting some map control above the site. They have a little bit of time to do it before things start to get hairy, but there is a decent bit they have to crunch through in order to make that happen, most notably Matumbo, like we said, but also Skimzy up on that top floor, but they get Matumbo. That's going to be Emilio with that pick. And yet again, they have a 5 versus 3, 2 uncontested picks before Cruelty's found anything.
There is a big chance that JJ and Co start off with 2 flawless rounds. Cruelty's position has been pretty sloppy. And as I say that, Pyrox collects as he always does. It's going to be the first kill for him and the first kill for Team Cruelty, and that does shut down Emilio, who might have still been playing on that the window over by Geisha, or anything to just hold an angle, and now that makes it so that JJ and Co have to find some sort of equalizer, whether it be in map position or it be Pyrox, who is just cornered between all of these players. There's Epic, finds the head, and Skimzy and Fatal have 2 C4s in their pocket. Playing so close around each other, they don't really have much map control to work with, as Fatal gets 2 and drops the diffuser. Recited and Snake. Recited has not had a death, and neither has Snake, but barely missing. That might kill Team Cruelty chancing at winning this, because there is Snake to get 1. Skimzy gets a dueling kill, and with 10 seconds left, there really isn't a chance for Snake to collect on the diffuser, but he gets the kill with the pistol! It's so bold, and yet he still walks away with the kill, and JJ and Co go on to their second round.
The early round positioning from JJ and Co has been really efficient these couple rounds. It looks like they have a very good idea of where everyone on Team Cruelty is at any given moment and kind of where the gaps are with that. And then they've also been working together to try to make these picks happen, utilizing that Monty very, very effectively to not only take map control, but then force the defenders into awkward situations off of that map control. But then in the end, we see them start to falter a little bit, as there are just a couple bodies that are caught out of position, which allows Cruelty to get an edge back into the round. And even if it doesn't end up losing the round, that is kind of why we saw that 1 versus 1 in the end, because Cruelty was able to dismantle just enough of that map control that JJ had established to get in and then kill the 2 players that were holding for that diffuser, and then almost trade their way back into that round win, right? So very, again, good early round from JJ and Co. But Cruelty are starting to put the pieces of the puzzle together. They're starting to figure out what these attacks from JJ and Co look like. And if they can continue down that path, that's really when JJ and Co is going to start to struggle on this skyscraper attack.
Okay, but a skyscraper attack.
They've done very well at it, though.
You have 2 rounds in the first. You have 2 wins in the first 2 rounds.
They have.
That's really, really good.
Yeah, they met their quota, I would say.
I like to say that 5-1 a lot of times when T2 is like the expectation. Yeah. Having 2 attacking rounds so far is clearing the bar by about a mile. Now they brought the gridlock. The hop out is still here. It's so risky for Fatal. He's shooting those Strat Stingers. They know he's here. You cannot get another jump out, because the early round positioning from Team Cruelty have been really poor, and they've given up so much space to this JJ and Co team. I have to be thankful that Fatal didn't get caught out, and with even a minute gone by, they have Black Stairs, they've pushed the Monty in, and now are shutting down a lot of lines of sight for this defense.
They have that Osa to tag along with that Monty as well, which just adds more pressure onto these defenders. He's holding down this Geisha rotate pretty effectively. Monty's inside of the site with the diffuser as well. They could potentially look at a plan here, but the Osa gonna take a ton of damage off of that C4. No other shields in pocket either. He's just gonna have to hold this angle with his gun, but he's on such low HP that just a body shot is all that's going to be needed to take him down, and it's going to put pressure on the rest of these attackers here. It might make JJ a little bit more hesitant to try to get this bomb down, but that's going to be alleviated pretty quickly by Epic. Going down below with that Deimos, trying to pressure out these players on Geisha, maneuver them around as best he can, as it looks like everything is about to go down at once.
I was going to say they needed a kill to start it off, but clearly they're just deciding to put the diffuser down, and that might be their undoing. Once again, it's Snake and Recited the singular player in a 1v4. He gets the kill against Matumbo, but can't get any more than that. It's a clash all at once, 5v5, and it doesn't work out for JJ and Co. The map control and the utility was so good early on, but I just think they needed to wait a little bit longer. Matumbo was so close to death. Maybe throw a player over in Geisha to collect the player in there. I know, like, you have that much time, you have that much map control, you want to do something with it. They crashed way too early.
Yeah, I think that there was a lack of map control there for JJ and Co, really, because they had a lot of good control over on the top black side, but like you said, no one's Geisha, and we saw defenders in Geisha throughout the entire round using that to mount a lot of their aggression back onto that site pressure that JJ and Co was throwing at them. And it just gives them so much freedom, so much breathing room to mount a very comfortable retake, because once JJ and Co started going for that, immediately there is a rebuff effort from Cruelty where they have T to work with, they have top wave to work with, they have the little bit of space inside of Karaoke that they still held, they had Geisha to work with, they had so much more than JJ, so they could just take those fights one at a time and isolate people. And yeah, the diffuser goes down, but that doesn't really matter when everyone on your team is sitting in a grave.
Maybe that kill into Matumbo potentially changes things, but kind of getting into woulda, coulda, shoulda territory.
Yeah.
When probably should just move on to the next round. One thing of note, JJ is really sticking on that Monty. He is incredibly persistent, and I'm still gonna stick by my point. There has been no real plays on the Monty that I've been like, yes, clearly Monty is the choice here. I mean, when you're going for a push into Karaoke, you do need the Monty, but on a play like this, when it's going to be a Karaoke overtake, how are you going to use that Monty to push these players out?
I mean, there are lots of ways to do it, depending on the map control they know the defenders have. I'm wondering if they know this player in Geisha is here, as they're creating some holes for the Monty to rotate around. It looks like they do know about the existence of this player, that being Caden inside of Geisha. But Matumbo is at a really good position here inside of T that the Monty really, I don't think is going to help with a ton, especially with that cross that Caden has. He can sit pretty comfortably here and just wait, sit and toss out those goo mines, as this position that he's sitting in is just going to get more and more powerful as they leave him alone, or he could even just duck out like he is now, sit back, and force him to take a different gunfight.
The goal is to go for Caden, but JJ and Co do seem kind of discombobulated. It's a bunch of back and forth. They do eventually take control of Geisha Wave Stairs, but they do lose that Montaigne. Take out the smoke and the Azami for your own ace. It's a decent trade, but without your Monty pushing in to this site, it's gonna be really difficult. Caden, he's kind of speaking my level, but I think once again it leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah, that pressure just didn't seem like it was timed very well, didn't seem like it was coordinated at all, and they are bringing things back a little bit, but Cruelty have been very good at this trade game thus far. They've been meeting JJ head on and really just kind of saying, get the hell off my lawn. And it's been working so well thus far, which has led us to a 2 versus 2 with 30 seconds left.
Fantasy 4. If not available as well, Skimzy gets the kill. It's always Recited and Snake. And this time it's gonna be up to Recited instead of the former. Takes a bit of damage, does damage to Fatal and gets the kill. Doesn't have the HP advantage nor the time. But all he really needs is a couple of good shots. Peeks the corner and it's Skimzy to win it. And Skimzy, he is most of the time the guy who's left in these situations, and he can really make that SMG sing. He does in that round, ties it up, and the banter in the all chat continues between these two teams.
I love all chat. It's so much fun.
I gotta look, I gotta look that up. What does that mean?
I don't know either. We're learning new words here on Crucibles. It is an educational
that's what it
broadcast
means.
now.
I see. I'm not gonna say it's
So
excrement from a cow. How about that?
Oh my god. So the early trend, or the really interesting trend to me, is the way the early rounds have gone. Because in those first 2 rounds that JJ and Co won, Recited started us off with opening kills. 2 or 3 picks in a row for Recited, in fact, in that first round. And then 2 picks in a row from JJ and Co in general the second round, where they got a lot of very early advantage with the man advantage. But these last couple rounds, Cruelty have gotten that opening pick and then kept the man count very, very close right up until the bitter end, so JJ aren't able to as easily gather numbers that just allow them to completely overwhelm the site and just brute force their way.
Yeah, because it does feel like what JJ and Co were doing in those earlier rounds when they would get some of these opening picks. They would use that big momentum. Another bold play from Cruelty almost nets a big kill onto Recited. Him and Snake making up a large chunk of JJ and Co's kills. If you take one of them off the board, it makes it a lot easier as well, because JJ and Co have been running the gridlock nomad, a lot of anti-roam. And if you've kind of kept your eye on some Cruelty members' positions, you can see that sometimes they do have maybe one player playing very, very far away from the rest on flank.
See if this Twitch drone works out here that Epic is bringing. Snake's going to take a lot of aggressive control over towards Drum side. They need to get a hold of this pretty damn quickly, as they did win this site last time, but it wasn't a convincing one. It was really the first cracks in the armor that we started to see for for JJ and Co. As, again, it's going to continue. Skimzy, he's going to open us up with 2 kills. Now matching the score that Snake has brought to the table, though arguably better because of the assist. As almost, you could get a third one here with the Nitro Cell. He does! Skimzy, he's completely shot any chances that JJ have of a comfortable round here. Epic and Recited, only about 1.5 minutes of HP between them, have to take these 5 gunfights.
Even though Skimzy is down, he's done his job very, very well. Not a lot of options here for these 2 remaining players. You know, the health that Recited is on from Skimzy's very early peak. You have the Vulcan canister directly in front of Epic, and it just gets worse. Epic is going to try to cross through the fire and the flames, and it gets roasted. And Cruelty, a very, very fiery comeback, 3 rounds in a row, and it seems like there has been absolutely no remnants of the first 2 rounds we saw from this team.
I would only say it's the first round that we're not seeing remnants of for JJ and Co, right? Because that was a very convincing round, and the second round they did win, but it came down to a 1 versus 1. And I think a lot of that is that the first couple of rounds were Cruelty figuring out what is the JJ and Co playbook for Skyscraper. What do their attacks look like? And now that they know what those look like, now that they've read into that, they're more than comfortable meeting JJ where they're at and completely dismantling that plan they have. That lack of early round maneuverability and advantage that JJ and Co enjoyed before is really hurting them here, and I think that is the game plan from Cruelty. Just figure out where they got to try and attack, where they got to try to press, and just resist that. Keep them out with either utility or our bodies or anything that we can to prevent them from getting comfortable.
Yeah. Especially if they hard stick to the Monty, which finally they are going off of. Because I'm not going to say anymore, but JJ going 0-4 kind of reinforced the point, not even with an assist. Giving him a gun, giving him that Twitch, which is incredibly helpful. Look at all the utility that the Twitch can destroy. The BPs, jammers, goo mines, Kaid claws, everything and the like. That is one thing that this attacking team is going to have to go through so much of, as we're actually on a bedroom defense. This isn't all too uncommon from this Team Cruelty defense. We have seen them run it a couple times, but clearly the Mew Jammers placed very well to deny any real progress from these Twitch drones.
Yeah, just making the utility that JJ's bringing obsolete and really just denying it before it has a chance to be properly utilized, is, again, just part of that game plan to make JJ and Co. just uncomfortable, discombobulated, destroy their game plan before it has a chance to really do anything, and then just keep them out the entire time, force them to problem solve through every single step of the round. And it has been working very, very well for them. JJ, though, he's going to get the first opening pick for JJ since round 2. And it brings his team a little bit closer to what they need. Recited almost tags on for another one as well. They're knocking on the door of the site. Emilio as well, going to tag on for a second. That's exactly what JJ and Co. need, is that early round advantage.
They do get the revive. Holding a pretty nasty angle onto the doorway. This round is very winnable for Team Cruelty. You see Fatal get 1. Defenders are still on the top floor, and there's no real point of entry for the rest of the attackers. It's all equal, as JJ will get the plant out. I say that, no he won't! Through the smoke, it seems like a blind fire, and Fatal is dead accurate. And now there is no chance you're going to be able to get that diffuser and put it down. It is going to be frags first. And as Recited brings out the crossbow, there's no smokes, just fire. Not going to be super helpful unless you can find a small hole in the floor of which would deny angles. The HP for Cruelty is going to be the one thing that might kill them if Recited can get a good fireball. Deploys 1, doesn't get anything, and will start to put the diffuser down. Are there any angles that Cruelty can have? Fatal gets 1 kill. Does step into the fire for just a little bit, but the castle barricade provides enough coverage that he can play without fear of getting killed. Diffuser half planted and goes off of it, and Fatal for 4 in that round. It seemed like it was going to be a JJ and Co round. It was a 5v2 at one point, Ali, and yet holding stalwart on the top floor.
Really, I think a lot of that was just, again, JJ and Co., they've got a lot of good pressure around the site, but when it comes to what the defense actually wants to hold on to, its importance, they just aren't taking the right things. Because what really mattered in that round was the top floor. They had complete control of the site, JJ and Co., but they couldn't do anything with it because there were holes on every single angle. And they took so long to deal with that, yeah, they get to a 5 versus 2. But the defense knows exactly where the common plant spots are. They know that they have as many holes as they could possibly need to make JJ uncomfortable. And on top of that, both the defenders left alive had super shorties in pocket that they were using to create more and more holes. And then by the time they start going for that diffuser, there's so little time, and Cruelty know exactly where they have to be that they just mount an attack onto that, and it leaves, I believe it was Emilio or Recited alone, just in an unwinnable position with the way the defense was playing.
Yeah, it was Recited. Since JJ and Co started losing rounds, has not gotten many. Same with Snake, even though they are the players left alive. As I say that, Snake attempts to go for what I believe is a spawn peek and is just cut down to size. Pyrox is not being asked too much of. It's Skimzy and Fatal who are ahead in kills. Fatal sometimes will show up, but Skimzy is one of a very big support player. You'll never see him firing away in the kill department. And here he is, 7 and 4. And him and the rest of his team have a man advantage about a minute through the round.
Yeah, they've been really shutting down these players that JJ and Co rely upon, while their own gunners have been very, very, alive in these last couple rounds. They've figured out the JJ and Co defenses, or offenses, excuse me, and shut them down effectively. And now they do find themselves on that attack, which is the harder side. And they have gotten what I would call the bare minimum for their defense, although I'd really rather have a 5-1. But they've already looked really good on this attack. They made very good time. They've been efficient with everything they've been doing. They got that opening pick on the Snake. And now it looks like they're starting to prepare this attack onto Geisha with this lurk up from Pyrox potentially doing something, but Recited going to make things harder, along with JJ himself, as they've tacked on 3 kills in about 30 seconds. with Kin bringing one back. Still very difficult for these attackers. It's all left up to Fatal.
I had a good idea of what they wanted to do, but I same with JJ and co. They didn't really actually go for those positions. Well, I think one thing that killed them was the flanks. Flank drones, clearly not having eyes on JJ, not having eyes on Recited, kills any chance of you getting that 3-2-1 into Geisha and having any sort of security around you, because that's the idea, is you set up your executes onto key positions after you clear out basic flank angles, maybe set up some drones, air jabs, track stingers, whatever have you, so that all you can focus on is the actual execute. And for Cruelty, they just put the cart before the horse.
So see if the trend from the last half continues, as it is something that I see a decent bit where one team will kind of lose the first couple rounds of a side as they kind of figure out like what does the other team's game plan look like, and that's exactly what we saw from Cruelty in the first half. Although JJ and Co, given that this is their map pick, I would also hope are fairly comfortable on that defense, as it looks like they have destroyed a good amount of the drones the offense set at them in that prep phase, which denying information is always going to be a highly appreciated thing on these defenses. But Cruelty, having amassed 4 rounds in that first half, don't necessarily have to worry yet. If JJ and Co tie it up here, it does get a little bit riskier, but still not out of the realm of possibility. Although, look at this, V. They brought a Monty.
I love Matumbo's Monty. I don't know if it's like Stockholm Syndrome, like I've seen it 8 times now, because it is very common for Matumbo to run the Monty. This is a very Monty-centric map. But the way that he plays the Monty and the way that Team Cruelty plays around him is kind of my perfect example of how he should be played. And as Team Cruelty locate the remaining defenders, see that there is that player over by Drum that they could potentially force out with the Monty, it mainly is going to be Shrine as that point of entry. Frag Grenade goes on in, should destroy some utility, and allows Matumbo and the rest of this attack to push forward. But it seems like they're just not ready to actually commit.
They made a good time over on that other side with taking T and Karaoke pretty quickly. Now, though, they have to translate that to more direct site pressure. And it looks like since they had a little bit of time, they want to be patient. They want to make sure that they have all the information they could want. As you don't want a player like Recited sitting in a position like that and potentially getting a pick onto your Monty or anyone else that might be walking through, as they're going to know where he is, and he probably is going to be involved in this first fight here, as he's in the position they're going to want to clear out first.
How are they going to get rid of Recited? There's a goo mine on the stairs, so Monty's not really going to be able to walk down. Seems like they might rotate potentially over to Drum? Terrace? Time is going to be a big factor. No real idea of what they want to do. Big bandit trick by Snake that shuts down 2 Selmas. And Matumbo actually does it himself. Gets the kill onto Recited and then immediately pulls onto Snake. Makes it a 5v3. There is no chance of getting that lone bandit up. It's Skimzy on the Ash of all things. And it's a 5v2, and it seemed like it might be unwinnable. Matumbo, P9 in hand, simply does the job in a flawless round, Ali. What a way to turn things around. I am so sad. I did not get to see that kill onto Recited.
I know, right? Like, we think, like my kind of thought there is like, all right, they're going to leave the Monty there, so Recited has to kind of look at the Monty the entire time, and then they're going to go like VIP wall on the Samurai window on that office wall on Terrace. But no, he just says, screw it, man. I'm just going to walk in. I'm going to play Monty like Ash. And it works. It works. The BB is banned, but we see the shield kills anyway. And that opens up those 2 kills, which causes JJ and Co to panic and then start to rotate around to try to find the holes that Cruelty are crawling into. And that just leaves Cruelty in phenomenal positions to take advantage of that, isolate those players with the man count they have, and then just continue snowballing this round, right? As we did say, they were getting low on time, but I think that was a calculated risk. They wanted very specific positioning to be in the perfect spot for what happened. Once the Monty caused that distraction, everyone on Cruelty just snapped into action and immediately just were in the perfect positions to dismantle absolutely everything that JJ and Co wanted to throw at them.
And you could tell the way that Snake was playing that was not... They did not expect the Monty to push like that. Like, it was extremely quick. It was extremely quick as well, because we saw Snake go down, and it's like, oh, where'd that come from? Oh, Matumbo killed Recited inside of Dragon. Pretty exciting round, to say the least. But now JJ and Co, they took their 60-second timeout, talk it over, and some of the changes that they've made. Recited is now on the Vigil instead of the Legion. JJ is on the Legion, and they're going to reattempt this office side. Is it going to be the roamers? Is that going to be the different positioning? Because it seems like they are putting a lot more presence over by that karaoke T side.
I think the idea is to deny the positioning that Team Cruelty want. Right, as I kind of said, like, they had specific positions they wanted to go for that execute, and then once they had this set up was when they really started to go for things properly. And so I think the idea is, right, if we can keep them out of those positions, if we can deny that map control, then we could start to get the win here. But Fatal is going to make that more difficult by killing off the Vigil as the first pick, shutting Recited down yet again, and opening up a little bit more space for the rest of his team. There's still a ton of roamers over on this side of the map, but they're being pressured so effectively. Epic manages to get one, but he's only on, what, like a fifth of a man's worth of HP. And they shut down the Ash, who really doesn't have that much utility to speak of.
I don't know if you could tell, they were trying to deny Monty the presence on Black Stairs, because without anybody to actually hold onto Black Balcony, then it really was just going to be, can you somehow find a way to squeeze yourself in there? Pyrox down below, the Deimos deadly as ever. It's only Epic somehow. This round just cascades into failure for JJ's team. They had some idea of what they wanted to do as a flurry of question marks come in chat. I've never seen that before. That's a weird one, but oh boy, I don't want to say they deserve it. JJ was typing up a storm.
I was laughing because, like, that round ends, the first thing I see is JJ bot. I just didn't expect it.
Question mark attack.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting the way JJ tried to adapt. I can see the vision, but unfortunately, like mine, the vision's not in 2020. You might want to see an optometrist there for that. As, yes, they do deny some pressure on that other side early on, but it also has the added side effect of giving Team Cruelty several roamers to isolate, which is exactly how they play that, because they don't just enter directly in top Black that time, except for, I think, just the Monty. They do things like walk players up Black Stairs, and those flank cams you talked about in that first attacking round from Cruelty that really were lacking, they haven't been lacking anymore. JJ on that flank was shut down before he had any proper impact, as the maybe 5 players that were offside by the end of that are just all dismantled one by one by one by one, because Cruelty knows exactly where they are at any given moment, and they aren't afraid to just kill them.
I worry about if Snake is going to get caught out as well. Over in Office, I think Epic in VIP, that's a potential player near that could help him out. Recited is kind of hopping in between Geisha, Exo. Now, he will be on this roam, so Team Cruelty do have 2 players that they're going to have to deal with. But because JJ and Co have put their roamers over by Office Exhibition, that leaves Pyrox down below on the butt raining havoc on the Skeleton Key. So JJ and Co now have to worry about players over by Samurai Window, the office balcony, and the Skeleton Key underneath.
There's a lot of pressure from Team Cruelty, and it really looks like they are trying to make this pressure kind of coagulate into one cohesive thing, and it's going to work out. The first pick is theirs. They've taken the control of this side of the map as well. Snake now falling into negatives, being 7 and 8. It's going to force Recited way back. And once Cruelty realize they have this, which looks like they have, they've taken the side very, very effectively. And they can start working directly onto the side here. And if they get some Geisha pressure going, along with some top black pressure as well, maybe even a player in carry window, if they can spare the bodies, they really do have a lot of solid options here to really hammer in the devastation that they've caused over on that other side.
Using their utility very well. They've created so much chaos that JJ and Co have no idea what to do with. First, you had both of those roamers, and now you have the Flores drone. That's going to get rid of the VP, which was spotted over, I believe, in half bar. What is the response from JJ and Co? It's going to be an SMG-11, straight to the face of Skimzy, but does not come without the infamous Cruelty trade. And now Fatal 14 and 4. Somehow we avoided talking about that. It is all over. Maybe a little bit of trollery, bringing out the P12. You down the Monty, you're not gonna down the other players. JJ and Co.'s map pick, they fall in what was a pretty defiant map for Cruelty, 7-3, only letting JJ get 1 round out of that initial 2-round burst that we saw. There's gonna have to be a hell of a response going into the second map.
Yeah, I mean, even like you said, right, the next map we have is Consulate, for those who might have forgotten. Even though you said that hasn't been one of Team Cruelty's best maps, I don't know if that's really going to matter, because they just look so good right now. They look confident and comfortable in all of these situations. And they did a great job of figuring out what is the JJ & Co game plan for this round, where the players, where's the utility, what map control do they have, and then just using that to work out a game plan of their own in response, finding those gaps, isolating those players, and all doing separate tasks that come together in the end that just make the lives of those roamers especially a living hell as they just storm through this 7-3, even be dominant on their attacks, which is not really something we see commonly on Skyscraper.
And I think with Snake and Recited, we saw that huge burst. 7 kills for Recited, I think, in the first 2-3 rounds. And ever since then, him and Snake just took a nap. They got shut down hard. And suddenly it's Fatal 14 and 4. Unbelievable for him. Can Cruelty carry that on over to Consulate Map 2? We'll see after this. You're seeing in front of you, JJ and Co. Team that strikes so early. The 1v1, they were so confident, typing in all chat. And then the flurry comes. Cruelty, Skimzy, K-Pasa in chat, and blowing you up with a C4 in the exact same frame. And they win it 7-3. They're going to have some sort of response on Consulate. I am Light Rose, and joining me is Alias, and we have the pleasure of getting you through these remaining games. And you can see the smiles on these players' faces. And why won't they be happy? Look how they did in the previous map.
I mean, yeah. They did so well, so effective at figuring out what the JJ and Co. plan of attack is, or plan of defense is, and just finding the weaknesses, finding those gaps, and also just being very, very coordinated. A lot more coordinated than we'd really see JJ being, with several jobs coming together to create one thing, accomplish one goal. And it is beautiful to watch, right? I know you said that you watched them like a ton in the past 20 days. I believe this is the 9th map we said in 20 days, but I mean, I never get tired of good Siege personally, and Cruelty plays some pretty damn good Siege.
Look, if there is a team that I guess I'll just have to deal with casting them over and over again, I'm okay with it being Team Cruelty, because if it was somebody like JJ's team with a whole new cast of characters in every game, and you have no idea who's going to show up and who's going to not, that's frustrating. But for Cruelty, you know, I've been able to kind of watch them, learn what works for them, learn what doesn't, and I was worried how they're going to do without Ivan, but it's clear that Caden knows his stuff. And even without the secondary fragger, sometimes primary fragger of Ivan, someone like Fatal just picks up that slot so nice.
I mean, even really outside of just Fatal, like, he was the obvious one going 14-4, but only one player on Team Cruelty was negative, and that was Motembo, who is 4-5, and it was often playing things like the Monty or like the hard side anchor. Whereas everyone else was coming alive on that team and really contributing to the kills, as it wasn't often or always just Fatal walking in and killing 4 people. Like, he would usually get the first couple, but then Motembo picks up one, Fatal picks up one, or Skimzy picks up one, right? And it just all comes together, and they were a lot less top heavy than JJ and Co was, with Snake and Recited starting off so hot, but just being extinguished by the time we got to that second half, with a couple bursts of life from Recited, but nothing really consistent enough to have any meaningful impact aside from a round or two.
Yeah, one of the things we criticized on map 1 was the inefficiency of the roamers from JJ and Co. On to Consulate, on to map 2. I worry that that's once again going to be a huge issue for them. On a lot of these sites, you are going to have to play off that site. Sometimes you could play far off that site, like we see on some basement defenses. They'll send a player or two over to Projector or an area on the second floor, and Cruelty, I would expect for them to just rip that apart.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think something as well is, obviously Consulate is another map that can be pretty heavily defender-sided. It's another one where I'm not ever surprised when I see 2 5-1 halves in a row for the defense. But we saw last map, Cruelty isn't afraid of the attack. They welcome the challenge, and they showed they have more than enough ability to problem solve to get into the heads of JJ, figure out exactly what that game plan is, and find all the solutions to stop it. Almost like watching someone who's really good in an escape room do their magic. So we are going to start off with those bans here, see exactly what's going to be off the board. And once again, Blackbeard is going to be banned out by a different team than last time, but JJ has just decided that they want it gone.
No Blackbeard today. And I don't think, usually the bans don't really play a big factor in how the map gets played. Dekebi ban is definitely different. I think it's not going to dictate how these teams play, but it might throw a bit of a curveball into some of these strategies. It's not a very common ban nowadays. A lot of times you might see something like a Blitz or a Montaigne, but we'll see if JJ and Co. can have an adaptation when they go on their attacks, because clearly Cruelty, they're not banning the Dekebi to hurt themselves. They get to start on the attack. They get to set the expectation within the first 6 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was because obviously, right, this is their map pick, so they should be comfortable on it to some extent, at least more comfortable than JJ and Co. But I think the important thing there is that Cruelty are very, very efficient at roaming, as we saw on that previous map, and JJ and Co. did bring that Dokkaebi a few times, if I remember, to try to get into a little bit of that. And I think Consulate does have more potential for an operator like a Dokkaebi to kind of lurk around and get into the shadows. And so they're saying, we don't need that Dokkaebi. We're comfortable without it. Let's make sure JJ can't have it. Let's make them uncomfortable as we go into this map so we kind of get an upper hand there. Although, I do have to draw attention, interrupt myself real quick. There's a Caveira on the board from Recited, which is not an operator that you see a ton. I believe that's actually... It's the first instance that I've casted of it in Crucible, at least. Probably not the first, as I haven't watched every game, but I am interested to see how this goes.
Yeah, and hiding it as well. I think it would have been found. There was a drone looking over toward catering, but you've got no idea. They may be trying to... you have the idea that, they might be trying to hide something... But you have no idea what. It could be a clash. That's a common pick on this side that sometimes you don't want to hide. Zited on the Cav is going to be... Wow, with the shotgun? On yellow... How does that happen? And I am once again incredibly sad that we missed that, because that seems like a big start to a map, and there it is.
Oh, yeah.
Very quickly for Pyrox, right into the grave.
Yeah, I think the idea there was to get him in very, very quickly, but then that just kind of happened to be where Zayden was. And like we saw last map, Cruelty doesn't really rely on Pyrox to get everything done, at least not so far on this game. Although Matumbo on that Monty, going to take a ton of early damage from these players at the top of yellow stairs as Skimsy is going to not a little bit if he can, but the down from the Caveira.
Oh no!
The interrogation as well! As that's going to be a 3K for him on the round, revealing the last 2 attackers, one of whom gets a kill. But it might be all for naught, as we can have a run on here from the Caveira getting brave to get this kill. No, we can't! The pistol's better. But still, this position the attackers are in is almost unrecoverable, it feels like.
You say that. I would not say that, personally. Because...
That's what it feels like.
But with that kill onto Recited, a 2v3? You've got flashbangs, you've got, or did, have some drones. You can find an equalizer, you know where this remaining player is. There's a chance! JJ called looking the wrong way, but it's Epic and Amelia. They calm my nerves. And start out the first round once again with a Recited play. It almost seems too familiar from last map.
Yeah, I think a little bit of the game plan from JJ and Call is a riff on the famous Kanto Go Kill, although this time it's Recited Go Kill, which has undoubtedly worked, and I believe actually the only defensive round that JJ and Co won that last map was a Recited Go Kill round. So it does kind of make sense that we're seeing it, as he has been very effective at it, although the thing about gimmick plays like that Caveira is they usually only work once, which is why they're switching to a different gimmick right now, that being that Scopos, who can go upstairs and hide a drone on site so he can get back quickly. But I have a feeling that Cruelty are going to smarten up a little bit, as we kind of saw that exact thing happen last game for their starts on both halves, actually, where they lose the first round, maybe 2 to JJ, or they can figure out, like, oh, that's how that's being played. Or, oh, he's going to bring the Scopos this time because the Caveira worked? Well, we know we need to watch out for him. We know we need to be efficient with our droning and flank watch. So it is possible it still works from Recited, but I'm a little bit worried if they fall into too much gimmicky play throughout this game.
And funny enough, the Scopos is almost a trademark of Cruelty. They love the Scopos. And it's hit or miss. It's not amazing. Because that's just what the operator is in general. She's not going to be a massive game changer in everything, but you can make some pretty unique ideas as JJ is gonna kind of go back and forth, play around that black mirror, but the smoke completely obfuscating everybody's cone of vision, and it's Emilio getting that opening kill on that first floor. They're gonna have to find a way to get rid of this lone player as the rest of Cruelty are focused on that yellow stairs, and Mutombo is in hell. Flashbangs the player back off, and Pyrox gets the frag kill onto JJ. Epic takes a lot of damage. Chaos is sown within this basement floor. It's Snake getting that SMG kill too as well. Will peek up, find a third. And I don't know what that round was, Ali, but clearly JJ and Co thrived among it.
Yeah, they just created so much chaos there. I think that Cruelty's normal idea for what they wanted for a game plan just doesn't work out like they would like. Because they have that breach open, so they can't just properly get over there and open it because JJ and Co are watching it. As soon as they figure out where that blitz is as well, they just hard focus on him and try to deny his space. And even when they managed to kill, I believe it was the Legion that was pressuring him, and throw a grenade at the Azami, when they try to run in, there's just a crossfire on that, so Snake on that Mira is able to kill the Blitz as he runs in, which denies that spatial disruption that Cruelty wanted to go for. And then from that point on, it's just the attack slowly crumbling until it just comes to a screeching halt, really, almost like wrecking your car, I guess. It's going to bring us over to the tertiary side here, as yet again, 2 very flashy, very solid rounds in a row for JJ and Co. But can they get over the hump that they experienced in the last map and connect that 3rd round in a row?
I think the difference is they're starting on defense comparative to attack on Skyscraper, which is, okay, getting that 2 attacking rounds, you've met the standard. Everything from here on out is just a bonus. Meanwhile, on the console defense, it's just, okay, you just have to keep going. You haven't met any sort of standard yet, because it's clear that Cruelty can find a way back in the game, as many attempts from JJ and Co to find a couple peaks. Decided not firing, Monty having no idea. And Team Cruelty has to be thankful that Mutombo walks away with a life.
Again?
Can't say the same for Skimzy, though. That is not good.
What is this drone work we're seeing out of Cruelty? It's been so sloppy these last couple rounds, just letting important players fall through the cracks. That's going to leave Skimzy dead on the floor before it can really have any impact. One of the huge players from the previous map just gone before he has any proper impact, as they do almost get a refrag onto Epic, sitting on top of that vertical. But it doesn't look like they have a coherent plan, or at least a clear plan to get him out of that position just yet. And they didn't get the refrag onto Recited either. Is JJ and Co. They have a ton of space to work with here, and they know it. They're playing like it. They're just holding on to this, waiting for Team Cruelty to walk into them. But we might see a challenge come out onto Epic here in just a second, as JJ is going to make things a little bit worse.
They're not really committing to a top floor clear. And you can't really play this site if you're not going to go for a top floor clear. You're going to have a miraculous hero play. It would be Pyrox, who's been very quiet in the first series. He's going to stay quiet. JJ and Co. These first 3 rounds, they are no fluke. They are defiant statements that this team wants to go to a map 3 of Border.
So something I praised on the previous map was the drone work from Team Cruelty. It was very, very efficient. It always felt like whenever JJ and Co had a flank going on, Cruelty read into it. It would have negligible impact at best. Usually that impact just being someone from your team, someone from JJ and Co being killed while trying to attempt that flank. But this time they just have felt sloppy with it. That last round, they don't drone up the yellow stairs at all to see what Recited's position may be, and he deals half the Monty's HP, and then he gets a whole kill off of it. And then, on top of that, Cruelty just don't go for that top floor. They leave all of that control in the favor of JJ and Co, so they could just sit down and rain hell upon those attackers who try to make that attack happen. And it just is a very strange way of going about things, and a very far cry from the fluid, efficient attacks that we saw in that first map, which is especially strange given that this is where Cruelty wanted to go. This is their map pick in the series.
Cannot run that twice. I
Oh,
can't.
no.
You can't. Like, using it the first time, hiding, perfectly fine. Using it again and still hiding is so bold. You are challenging Cruelty. Say, you know the Caveira was here in the first game, in the first round. Excuse me. Are you going to read into that the second time, have an expectation for it, even though you didn't drone out the Caveira? Still on the shotgun. Recited is not going to have the SMG holding the angle on this window. Would be very, very silly, but clearly Team Cruelty have to meet this challenge directly at their face if they want to have a chance at winning this. We could see a jump out from Recited. Oh my goodness.
He is kind of tempting that a little bit here, potentially just going to try to get a shotgun pick on whoever jumps in. They're going to know someone is in a position that's aggressive here because he shoots that drone, but do they know how aggressive he is? Wait, this other window, that could be the key, but no, he gets the opener yet again, and he's just going to get inside. They're not going to kill him. No, he almost gets a second pick. Going to run away instead, dealing not even any damage actually to his opponent, as he takes quite a bit himself. As the attackers, they managed to catch him, but are they going to get caught on afterwards? No, they aren't. Hayden is going to get away here as the attack does take some initial control, but just, again, they don't watch out and they lose their hard breach off of it.
There was also a player in the window that I was like, oh, if Recited doesn't make this jump out, probably dead. So, clearly, Recited is just playing this so loose. And Cruelty, it seems like for the first time in this map, actually have a man advantage. There's one player I'm really worried about, Ali. Snake. He's going in between the first floor and the second floor. There's still half a round to be played, and it's clear the Team Cruelty aren't super worried about that player in that first floor because they have their sight set on what probably will be a window plant with the smokes in the pocket. It's a 4-2 man advantage. This is looking so promising for JJ and Co, but the amount of HP that Skims he's on is dangerous. The peak does not go well for Emilio. And now Snake in the 1v4. He gets the kill. Cannot get any more than that. And Team Cruelty finally put a stop to what was a wrecking ball of a team in that first 3 rounds.
Yeah, very good start from JJ and Co, and from Recited specifically in that round as he does get that opening pick, but in the end there, I think JJ and Co got a little bit overzealous with the way they were trying to play things. As they're trying to do what they did the first 3 rounds, actively contest everything that Team Cruelty is going for. But this time, Cruelty punishes them. They know what the game plan is for this specific site. They know how it's going to be played. And so they just prepare for that aggression. They're aware of its existence. And so when it's thrown at them, they aren't caught off guard by it like they were before. That being said, we are still getting a timeout. And I have a feeling, I know what the coach is saying, as someone who has coached a few rosters. Stop dying to the Caveira. Drone. Just something like that. Don't let JJ and Co get under your skin. Don't let them use these gimmick plays to catch you off guard and get free picks like this one that we see Recited get here, right? Catch them off guard, figure out where those gimmicks are coming from, and then punish that aggression and carelessness.
I thought Recited was going to get the second onto the player as well.
I really thought so too.
He looked unstoppable at that point. With 7-1. And now is on the Rook? Alright. I mean, sure. You're not on this for utility. You're on this because Recited go kill. Seems to be the main strategy here, Ali, with the dock in tow as well. All shackles are off for this team. They're not going to be structured. They are not going to depend on key utility that the attack has to deal with. It is just, we're going to put a player in an area, and you got to kill him if you want to have a chance at winning this round. They also hide the bandit. they're going to be able to use that as a way to stop this wall from getting open.
I don't think it's interesting that last map, I feel we did see a very kind of traditional game plan, I guess, from JJ and Co., where they were kind of playing what you'd expect from a Tier 2 team. And this map, they've just kind of decided to throw all of that out the window, instead just trying to be weird and aggressive and loose, kind of hoping that they can almost pull out like an APAC victory, like we'll often see them get at majors, where they're just so wild that the other team's like, what the hell do we do with this? And it has worked, at least for 3 rounds, partially aided by the fact that Consulate is very, very defender-sided on its own. Although, as Cruelty have gone on, especially with that last round victory, it looks like they are starting to figure out what this game plan is little by little, and they are getting more comfortable with dealing with it as well.
They have eyes on these 2 players in Tellers and Visa. You hear the goo mine go off, so that is an indication of where these players are. It will be Caden to mainly drone himself in. It would be a huge risk, potentially push forward with these remaining players. Pyrox takes a bit of damage over by Expo. That's going to be from JJ on that spiral stairs. It is a top-down take for this team, and whose Tro just got munched there by the Boogie. Really, information not going to help you when you already have control of piano. It's everything else that might be a problem for this attacking team.
Yet again, though, the opening pick goes the way of JJ and Co. And JJ is going to try to work off this, use that momentum to try to create a little bit more. As he's walking up yellow stairs, walking towards this yellow hallway. He might have slipped between the cracks here. He gets the second one. Can he get the third here on this player? Yes, he can, JJ! He's on a 3K right now, potentially going for 4, as he does get it along with Recited. It's JJ. A good early round for Cruelty, but he brings it right back and secures the minimum 4 rounds that you expect out of the defense here.
You're gonna let JJ Ballsack do that to you? Come on. And he is the farthest you're ever gonna see a player do that. In how he normally plays, it is really support-oriented, and making plays like this is such a risk, because he's very, very important. The utility he has in his pocket, but okay.
No.
He's doing the pregame warm-up. That if anybody knows that, he's having fun. I mean, like, getting a 4K like that, that's brutal.
All right, V. Over under an hour and a half for Zay to make that a GIF.
I have that GIF. I have a GIF of that, like, favorited, just because it's so funny.
Gosh.
Also, one of Mason doing the JJ dance as well.
Dude, that GIF is so funny, especially like the one that's like the 2 of them together, like side by side. It's so good. It's so good. Wildcard Restart. Thank you for sending it. Wildcard Restart was a hell of a time, to be sure. So we're gonna see JJ. It looks like repeat that top floor site, maybe with a little bit of a different game plan to see if they can. I don't know, break things back into their favor like they did the previous time. We're seeing the Rook and Doc return here, along with JJ. Playing yet another MP5, this time being the Melusi, which is going to deny a little bit of space, and I mean also just give him another no-recoil gun that he can potentially look to get another 4K with.
Attackers recovered the diffuser.
How do you recover from a round like that? Gotta bringing it back to earth. Like, that's so hard.
Especially without your tac time. That's normally after like that, I'd always call a tac time out and just say, guys, just breathe. Like for like 20 seconds, like just chill out. Let's not lose the mental over this, but they have to do that in game now, right? And that's not to say that I think that Cruelty have fragile mentals, because obviously they don't, but when you lose like that, it's kind of like, man, what the hell are we doing?
This is a very winnable game. Obviously, if Cruelty are able to get this attack, they go on the defense, and then whatever happens from there happens, but it is so crazy to see Pyrox. I think he went like 7-7 in the last map. Now he's 2-4. This is a player that can single-handedly change rounds for this team. Makes a big difference. JJ with a jump out. Doesn't go well. Recited to follow! And 2! And that might just deny any chance for Cruelty. No. It's only Pyrox, the man who I said could change rounds single-handedly. Him and Caden subbing in for Ivan. Emilio is dead and is now exempt from being spotted on the camera. Will shoot it out as his position. Clearly known, but what a play this would be if he's able to turn it around. But you can see no information in any of these players. And it pre-fires, uses the E1D, gets in a good position, but having no diffuser makes everything 10 times worse. Pyrox inside of the site. There's a player behind the reinforced wall. Frag grenade gonna be used. Did he spot the player directly to his left and shot at him? I think that's epic. Hiding behind it. He's got no clue at any chance at a round victory. Goes up in smoke. JJ and Co. up 5-1 on a consulate defense.
All right, so we gotta be honest. I'm a little scared of analyzing that last round because I don't know what's going on. JJ and Co are honestly playing something more akin to Call of Duty, it looks like. But I will say, I did say earlier, a 5-1 for the defense is not necessarily unusual for Consulate. I'd say it's semi-expected. And as well, the type of playstyle that JJ Co is throwing out, like it's something that we've all seen if you've played a qualifier for anything. There are teams that just play like that to get free wins against teams that can't shut it down. Although this time it is done at a much higher skill level because these are very talented players. But it's easier to shut that type of play down when you're on the defense like Cruelty is now, right? So that 5-1 scoreline does look very scary from where we're sitting, but it is entirely recoverable if Cruelty are able to just keep their heads screwed on straight and just take it one round at a time and play proper siege.
It's just so funny. It's like this is a team that's played in a major. They were fighting for SI, the NA spot. They're not going to expect 2 players outside of that window. That is nobody in their right mind who is like going for majors, fighting for SI is going to be doing something so insanely stupid like that. And it works. But then there's something like this where JJ almost dies and then gets a kill of his own. What is happening with this team? It's resided as well. The fire's gonna stop the push just for a second, but I don't really think that matters, Ali. It's a 5v2. 40 seconds have passed, and Fatal spots 2 shields directly in front of him. Here's a player over by the spiral window. Player isn't going to peek, and the impact just sails way too far. And the only chance at maybe winning this lies in the hands of Fatal. 2 players directly on his tail. It is now a 1v4. No chance of getting Skimzy up. Walking up spiral stairs. It is Snake who has his number. Let the chaos continue. The circus is here and the clowns have come to play.
But I'd say in the prep phase for that round that type of play is easier to shut down on the defense. And then JJ says, hold my beer. As you see 2 shields, you see that Finka, and you see, I mean, a couple of normal operators like Sledge, and the floor is there, but like, just that fast-paced play off of those 2 shields, it's something that Cruelty very clearly just didn't expect. And so when it comes rushing at them, they just aren't prepared for that ground to be covered by 2 angry men with big pieces of metal. And it just falls apart. They all die one after another. They surrender that space so effortlessly because they have to. And you leave Fatal in effectively, like a 1 versus 4, 1 versus 5? That's not a situation they're just going to win when they have that chase him out of that site.
Oh my goodness. Do it again, JJ. Do it again. Oh, I'm going to see some more shenanigans. Besides just 11-2. What is happening? It's fun. I will say it's there is some delight within the madness, and it seems like it's going to be another very fast play, assisted by the Sledge. It's Snake to fire, Emilio dead, and Team Cruelty, how do you not expect these things? This has happened 3 rounds in a row now, and JJ and Co almost have complete control. They've backed Skimzy into a corner, and the diffuser is going down within 40 seconds of the round starting. Pyrox does not win the fight because he's never winning that fight. It's JJ and Co. I needed some sort of defiant comeback in Consulate, and my prayers were answered.
What the hell did I just watch? I'm kind of speechless. So am I. I'm a little speechless. The last 3 games that I've casted in Crucible they've all just been tomfoolery, man. I don't get it. It's scary out here.
I don't even think there's not much you can analyze at the end of the day, because it is just JJ and Co saying, okay, we have done this twice before, where we're just gonna do some stupid ass play, and it's gonna win, and it won. Unbelievably so. Cruelty are playing JJ and Co. You're not playing Oxygen. You're not playing Furia. But come on, maybe not knock it down to the silly tier that we're in, apparently, because you gotta match the energy that JJ and Co. are bringing.
With that energy, of course, being
that's
a little bit of that. Just
pretty accurate.
Hold the W key until they're all dead has been the strategy for most of that map. Even on the defense, they were playing operators like Ella like they were Ashe, which is a little bit abnormal, but I mean, hey, whatever works. So we're going to send things over to a quick break to give ourselves a chance to recover a little bit of our mental stability that we might have lost in that last map. And if that's what console looked like, I could only imagine what Border's going to look like when we get there.
That was a hell of a map. I think that's a name for it. Cruelty only pick up 1 on their own map pick. It's dueling map picks. And you can see JJ getting his 4K in what seemed to be the start of the massive streak that led to them winning the entire map.
Yeah, that was a game where, honestly, I think the best analysis I can provide is just that JJ found the perfect place to get under the skin of Cruelty at any possible moment, always going fast, always being aggressive, never taking what we'd call the smart way out, just constantly playing off of their raw mechanical talents to dismantle the well-structured and well-organized game plan that Team Cruelty had in ways they just didn't expect. And we were kind of discussing between maps, that last round, it looked like Cruelty didn't expect JJ to do the thing that he'd been doing for 6 rounds at that point, which just shows a little bit of a lack of awareness from them, which you would not expect given that it was their map pick as they wanted to go here.
I was frustrated. You see a lot of the same thing and you don't adapt, you're gonna look silly. And that's exactly what Team Cruelty did. They looked really silly. And we head to Border. This is our third mapper of the playoffs. We saw that initial 2-0 from M80X, and then the 2-1 that Core was able to win over Slime Believe. And remember, there was only one talent member who said that it was going to be JJ winning it out. It was Pox on Locks. And he said he should have had JJ's team going all the way. Well, maybe if they keep pulling off heists like that, they could go all the way.
I think heist is a good way to describe that. It would have been more appropriate, though, if it was like a heist on bank, but we weren't there, so, I mean, there's the payday games, you've want something like that. Although I am interested to see how Border goes here, as I feel it's a map that facilitates that style of gameplay that JJ and Co brought out a lot more than Consulate does. And if it worked like that on Consulate, then I could only imagine that Border is just going to be better. And I'd imagine that is going to prompt either different bans or a different game plan from Cruelty, just something to stop the flow. Just erect some sort of dam so JJ can't run at you with a shield for the 8th time in a row.
Maybe. I mean, we can make up a bunch of theories on, here's how Cruelty can adjust. They need to adjust first. That they had an insistence on just staying in the way that they did in map 1 when clearly wasn't working. Going into map 2, I think there's gonna be some issues if they don't change any of the way that they play, and especially because Pyrox still isn't being the player that you and I expect him to be. I don't know the final kill tally that he had, but it was really bad. It's been not great this entire series, and he needs to be the player that we all expect him to be if Cruelty wants to beat JJ and Co.
Yeah, especially if JJ and Co want to be aggressive like they were on that last map, which, I mean, it worked once. You might as well try to get at least for a bit. You need people to stand tall and just kind of say, never say that to me or my son ever again. That being said, though, we do have to send things over to a quick break as there's a tech issue that is happening. So we will see you in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere too far.
Welcome back. Already halfway through the ban phase. Nomad is gone. That is going to be a JJ and Co ban. And I think you and I can figure out why. They start on the defense, and there is one man who, maybe sometimes you might want to say his name wrong. That probably is going to have a fun time with that.
Please don't bring Caveira again. I'm not emotionally prepared for more. I'm watching him with bated breath to see what he does. Okay. Alright, well, we're not that far off. We're bringing the Rook-Doc combo yet again, which, it worked so well for them last time. Why not do it again? As obviously from that Nomad ban, we're probably going to see JJ lead into that very, very, very aggressive playstyle yet again, which just caught Cruelty off guard so much more effectively than it had any right to. Even a tactical timeout wasn't enough to break through that fog and get Cruelty to string rounds together, as they took one solid but still slightly shaky round in that first half, and then just got completely overwhelmed by that aggression. Almost like choked out, even, I guess is a good way to put it. And as I was kind of saying, Border is a very good map for that type of play style. And I think we're going to get that type of play style again, because we have the Rook and the Doc being brought at the same time. So we'll see if Cruelty this time have a better formula to deal with it, which for their sake, I definitely hope they do.
Yeah, already having a lot of spawn. There are going to be a lot of plays on the outside of the building. And I believe that's partially why Resided does have the Rook. Simply for that ACOG. Brought it in the previous round, and now he wants it again, close to finding a player by that AC. I think that might be Fatal. Hard to exactly say. No, that was Pyrox, but still. Little stim. Resident is back to full HP. The 20 HP that you get from the Rook armor, it's like it never even happened.
Yeah, the Doc is going to facilitate a ton of aggression along with that Rook, since everyone's much beefier than they would be before. Although, JJ is getting one of the picks instead of the MP5 brothers. He gets a double as well, JJ. He's been doing so well in the fragging department. Epic's going to tag on for yet another one. Is JJ's going back for more than he gets the triple kill? So it's all up to Kane to get this kill. He does, but Shotgun Champion Snake, he's going to finish that off. Is JJ and Co. start off this map as fast as they did the previous one.
What do we do? What do we do in Team Cruelty? What are we doing?
Not
There's
much.
a Nomad ban. Clearly, when there's a Nomad ban, the writing is on the wall. It's, we're going to flank. We are going to flank you. Be ready for it. JJ is able to do like 2 wraparounds, and only then, when there's 5 players still alive and 1, the lonesome player on Cruelty, is he able to die. This is brutal to watch if you are a Team Cruelty fan, because they are getting dismantled by the W key. Something that seems like it is such a simple strategy at first, but clearly it's most too complex for this team to deal with.
Yeah, just it's so surprising. On map 1 on Skyscraper, they look so put together, so thorough. And the aggression, the JJ threat that was just getting shut down before it had a chance to blossom. Anything. But on this map, JJ put the pedal to the metal, even scrunching down on that metal sometimes if they need to for more speed. Is yet again we're seeing an early swing from Righty, and it works! Another opening kill for him. This time not on a Caveira, but on that Rook. As just Cruelty, they've been getting shut down by promiscuous plays. They never think it work, but have been the kryptonite of this squad.
Oh, dude, what is happening? I feel like I can't even describe, because JJ and Co. at every single opportunity are just going, you know what? We're just gonna hop out. We're just gonna peek you. We are going to do literally everything that we can do to get in your face. And the round is over. I blinked. It's over. It's 2 rounds for JJ and Co.
I don't even know how to properly analyze some of this.
Please analyze that very complex, high strategy round for us.
It's literally just the W key. I mean, at every time they know someone from Cruelty is in the area, they're just saying, screw it, and then swinging it. And it's working. Cruelty it looks like they're getting genuinely caught off guard by these swings, these peaks that JJ and Co are taking with full confidence, mind you. They aren't swinging these things with any reservation. Ends with me. His push stops here. And it always does. And it's building the confidence of these JJ and Co players that's even survived the break. And what was it that we said, like 2 internet restarts from JJ himself? And Cruelty, they're just getting withered down. It's so hard to lose like this mentally when you know you're the better team, when you know you have the better strategy.
You don't mean squat in the east deck of the woods, apparently. Would it shock you to hear that JJ and Co are spawn peeking?
No.
Yeah, no. Probably gonna go for a run out. You see, it was Snake who got. He did go for a run out, and then he appeared on the E1D, and there it is, a sign of life. From Team Cruelty, JJ, who is the top fragger on this team so far, is taken care of. And maybe now Team Cruelty can actually start to do something on their attack.
This aggression can absolutely play into the hands of Cruelty, but it has to be expected more. They have to be more aware of it. Because JJ and Co have been taking so many swings that you just never normally see with full confidence, and it looks like there hasn't been as much preparation as there should be for those swings from Team Cruelty. But this time, at least for that one gunfight, they are prepared for it. And if they can continue that, that's really the successful formula here. But I'm worried about this attack nonetheless, because they're not really touching this vertical play at all. And Recited's taking advantage of that. Is the Solus on the flank going to get caught? That could be absolutely massive, as Epic gets another one before Pyrox brings one back. It's all up to Decade, but even he's going to fall, because nothing that Cruelty has done has been enough. These flanks, they've all going the way of JJ and Co.
What do you do here? That is a difficult question. You got a collective 5 kills. That is the entire kills that Recited has. Snake just called it an aura strat. I think that's like the entire strategy that JJ are doing. It's just, you call it the aura strat. They are... We've said it time and time again. They're walking toward their opponents and getting kills. Sometimes they don't even need to. Sometimes they could just sit still, aim their guns, and shoot the heads of their opponents. It's pretty crazy, but you can tell that all of JJ Co are fired up. They're typing in all chat. JJ is doing whatever he does. Okay, all right. I was just half expecting Zay to cut, like, as soon as he started to take his shirt off, but... Here we are.
Need to locate and defuse bombs. Take some trauma plate.
Oh my god. Alright, well, thank you, Zay, for that input that I'm not going to reveal live on broadcast. But... this game, I mean... It's one that's been kind of difficult, I think, from the perspective of both Light Rose and I, because it's been a lot of the same. JJ and Co are just saying, where is this man? Okay, I'm just gonna swing him.
Attackers must locate
And
defuse the bomb.
it's working flawlessly. JJ did die that last round, giving him his, well, not first death of this game, but giving him, giving Team Cruelty their first opening pick of this game. And after that, same old story as before. And Emilio does get himself into a little bit of trouble here, but that aggression is still going to weigh on Team Cruelty, and this Doc is facilitating it because he can just heal up his teammates. They can go right back to what they were doing before. And they're even playing a site that is wildly off meta, that is inarguably the worst site on this map, just to check Cruelty and see if they can catch them off guard, which thus far has led to an even man count, even an advantage, as Emilio somehow gets that kill onto the player who looked like he had the cross. And JJ and Co are just controlling the pace of this game.
Yeah. It seemed like, you know, maybe there would be like an HP advantage, but Snake is on the dock. He's got 2 stims. Gives it to Epic. Gives it to JJ. It's a 3v3, and they have spotted the clash. If Skimzy can help Pyrox, who kinda is by himself here. Oh, playing the PAX East game! Epic is there as well! Trade from Matumbo. Makes it a 2v2. Both of the defenders are inside of Workshop, and this plant should go down now. The Bullet Tracers do give off the position. Skimzy finds Epic. JJ tries to go for the spin move, goes down, will try to pick himself up, but well, okay, no, we're second chances for JJ. Very slow, but, you know, maybe he's going to be able to stick this. It's halfway done. All Team Cruelty needs to do, get the 1 bullet. They do, and put themselves on the board in what was still a very chaotic round, but at least Team Cruelty are able to come away with it at the end.
Yeah, things do look really frisky there, but I do think that JJ and Co are starting to get a little bit too overzealous, which really could say that throughout the entire series. But that last round, I think, was kind of where they found the limit of where that power ends, as it finally allows Team Cruelty to pick up their second round in the past 2 maps. Off of attack timeout in combination with a very, very poor site choice, which, I'm going to be honest, is kind of JJ throwing that round away for free to an extent. As now we're going to head back to Armory, back to the more meta sites that are much easier to defend, as we're most likely going to see JJ and Co just continue this same plan of attack. Find where the attackers are and just swing for the fences and see what happens, especially with that Nomad ban just making that easier.
And an Archives push does seem very likely. There's a Ying and a Glass combined with the Monty, so what is going to be the counter from the defense? They don't have a Warden. Don't have anybody playing underneath. They do have Snake over on West Main, but obviously Doc is not a plant denial operator. Ooh. Dangerous, dangerous games. The hop out comes, and yeah, maybe that's pushing it a bit too far. It's very easy for Pyrox to predict that. Gets the kill. Now it's a free entry for the attacking team.
Snake does look to get aggressive as well here, but Cruelty have established themselves pretty well on this side of the map, and I actually do like this adaptation a lot from them, as they're deliberately going for a type of take that requires very minimal control of the actual, like, map, because they basically just need the glass to provide overwatch while someone sits on the sandwich window while they jump inside of Archives to get that plant down. And that Ying especially is going to play a pivotal role in combination with the glass and the Grim, as they can deny so much space and cause so much calamity that there's really not going to be a well-formulated response JJ and Co can pull together.
Candela's combined with the smoke. It is a 4v4, but no explosive means that nobody's here to deny the plant. Another smoke goes down, so Fatal can continue to have overwatch over this area. And now the time is ticking for the defense. Their backs are against the wall, and Monty holds down the corner. JJ hops out, gets the kill onto Pyrox, and now the Kiba barrier is going to be used. And even if the Claymore doesn't get the kill, Skimsy will. Players on his back. Mutombo gets the headshot, and it seems like Team Cruelty might be able to finish it off. All it takes is the kill onto JJ, and now there is no chance in hell that Snake is going to win this at all. The Team Cruelty finish it out. Mutombo with some pistol shots. And clearly that tactical timeout that we saw is enough for Team Cruelty. And now they've made some changes enough to get themselves 2.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that I think at least part of that tactical timeout was some variation of, if they're going to swing you, just let them. Let them dig their own grave, essentially. As right, we've discussed it as nauseum for a map and a half now. The plan from JJ and Co is just swing, hold W, sprint at them, just be aggressive. And so Cruelty adapt to that by deliberately playing a strategy that requires very minimal map control, and where if JJ and Co want to swing into them, they have to take substantial risks in order to do it. Right? Because if they jump out of those windows, then they have to shoot at claymores before they can properly take the gunfights. If they want to swing the window, they have to swing at Glass, who's actively looking through a smoke and being given calls by a Monty. It's a beautiful adaptation from Team Cruelty, and a little bit of a callback to those types of adaptations that we'd see in that first map that were so effective. And if they can continue that and continue anticipating and then shutting down this aggression that JJ and Co are throwing at them, then they really do have a solid chance at this map.
The first round that Resided has not gone Rook. Are you ever gonna say that ever again? Rook is a very niche operator. Capcan a little bit less so. A lot of times you can catch some players off guard. Maybe Monty, if Monty was being played, have that barbed wire. Capcan did get the C4 taken away from him in the most recent update. But Cruelty, we gotta talk about them. And Skimsy on the Amaru, zipping in the window, finding the first headshot onto Snake, and now potentially crashing towards these remaining players. It's epic to get one, and they know that a player is inside of Fountain. They just have to actually clear him out. But Recited underneath, finding both Caden and Pyrox. It's clearly just a brawl fight of a round, and so far, it's JJ and Co who are ending up on top and still maintaining control of Fountain.
The trade does come back, though. That's Mutombo. He's playing on that gridlock. I think a necessary adaptation for sooner, as we're going to see Skimsy get this kill. Yes, we do. Finally, another late round man advantage for Team Cruelty. But Recited, sitting at 6-3, he's going to be confident, but not enough as Mutombo is going to shut that down and secure a 3-3 half, giving Cruelty just enough life, maybe, to bring this back, as the aggression from JJ and Co has finally been shut down.
The pendulum swings one way. After the tactical timeout, it swings right the other way. JJ and Co seemed unstoppable. They also seemed unstoppable on Skyscraper a little bit, winning a lot of their early gunfights. And so far, Cruelty matched them equal round count. We are tied up as the side swap, and now Cruelty gets to be on the defense. They are going to start with an armory hold, and I wonder what their plan is to prevent potentially an archives push with the Monty and the Blitz. Seems like it is on the board.
Now, a point that you brought up between maps was that Cruelty got Monty Blitz rushed round 7 on Consulate, and then again on round 8, but on round 8 it didn't look like that was something they anticipated whatsoever, and so they just got steam trained again. Do they expect it this time? Because this is now the 3rd round in a row that this exact tactic has been leaned into by JJ and Co. And by this point, Cruelty have to realize it's coming. They have to know what's up. Because they don't have another tactical timeout to fall back on if this doesn't go their way. This is it. And we're on the last map of the series as well, on a map that I would say really supports this type of game plan from JJ and Co. Like, they have so much pressure on their shoulders.
I think the keepers and castles are designed to be like a first entry type of thing. Like, you have to get rid of the castles, and then you can rush. Oh, and then you gotta get rid of the keep barriers, and then you can rush. I think it's a great way to slow this team down when they love speed very early on. They don't have a sledge. They only have an Ash. Now, no other explosive utility. It's just going to be bullets and melees that are going to be able to deal with those Kibas and castles respectively. But a good amount of time, this has been gone off the board, about a minute, and JJ and Co have cleared a great amount of map control, and now they're setting their sights upon this armory wall. And maybe that's where we potentially do see a rush from these two shields.
They're certainly teasing the idea at the very least. They're going to go for it. Send that Blitz on in. Trying to get these picks, but Pyrox gets that opener. Blitz almost goes down as well, but JJ Co take that man advantage right back. Well, look at this. Everything's left up to Motumbo. In a 1 versus 3 now. With one shield left alive, Epic gets that kill. And JJ and Co, yet again, the shield strategy completely undefeated, as Cruelty just can't find that answer that they need.
And this is a difficult map as well, because with how tight border is, you can section off a lot of people. For example, the Azami inside a small office, there's nobody there who's going to be able to be in a good position and get the crossfire. And with the speed at which this attack moves, you need to be in the exact right position at the exact right time if you want to shut down that shield play. And clearly, Team Cruelty have not. It's gone on 2 maps now, and going back to the same site, they're going to attempt the Echo, going to attempt the Clash as a way to stop that shields that we've seen as JJ hops off of the Monty and onto an 8, so we could see a bit of a slower play from them.
I think we're going to see some speed at some point, although I think they do just want to open more things to make that speed a little bit more effective. And I think as well, they're probably not going to try to rush the exact same way they did the previous round. That's usually a pretty good way to get, destroyed, wrecked. Other words that people use in Call of Duty lobbies that I don't know, and/or I'm not allowed to say on broadcast. Although the Capcan is going to make that a little bit more difficult, along with that Clash and Legion and Belusi as well, actually, as looks like the plan from Cruelty is just to stop this momentum at all costs. Although the Bravo from Epic could potentially make that a little more difficult.
Now you have the Brava, so it's going to be able to... Unfortunately, you can't hack a Clash. That would be incredibly funny. I would like to see the potential scenarios for that. A bit of a run out on the side of Team Cruelty. It doesn't lead to much too often. Maybe we will see some sort of meeting JJ's aggression with their own aggression play. So far, it's been very slow on both sides. You see the wall gets open. Emilio holds that angle, and there's another player behind the second reinforced wall. But so far, they're still just setting themselves up, trying to put themselves in the best position for eventually the execute.
I want to see how this Echo ends up kind of working out here. As I feel that if JJ and Co kind of get the execute they want, there might be too much chaos for it. Although with the Glass, is a pick that I do like. And I think they have succeeded in their goal of forcing JJ and Co to slow down quite a bit. As Recited, he's going to get taken down early on. Emilio is going to get a refrag pretty much immediately. But even still, that leaves a ton of room for these defenders until Epic gets that pick out to Caden. It makes things awkward for them. Yet again, they just can't seem to keep these man advantages up.
And when you're going to peek JJ and Co, a lot of the times you are going to lose that in a very heads-up gunfight. We've seen that in most of these rounds when Team Cruelty are simply try to engage on JJ's turf. A very fast execute now over in this archive. Smoke's going to be used. They takes off the head of a player. And Echo probably will get used to shut down the plant. There's Fatal on the pistol SMG. He's in a very awkward angle, but could take out Epic, but he gets shut down. The SMG-11, Matumbo has no idea where to look. And it's JJ's team up 5-3. 2 consecutive attacking rounds on Armory Archives that they're able to walk away with.
So that's a very aggressive from JJ and Co, but it's a lot more mindful than I think you'd expect given the previous kind of rounds and how they've progressed, as they play sort of a similar game plan to what Cruelty did to win their second attack, where they play a very minimal sort of style there, where they do have players over on Alpha side as well, as directly outside of Archives. But the goal there is just to circumvent the utility that Team Cruelty have brought by just avoiding it, not leaning into the shields the same way they did before, and forcing problem solving out of JJ or out of Team Cruelty in real time, because they went full in on denying that double shield rush that we've seen time and time again. And so there wasn't enough left over for the, I don't want to say more traditional push from JJ and Co, but the differentiated push from what we'd seen previously.
Do you want to highlight another thing? Hyrox is 5-8.
Yeah.
Again, Matumbo is 10-5. Like, Skimzy and Matumbo should not be your 2 players that are positive. I know Ivan, you miss Ivan, he's great, but Pyrox, it still just seems like he's not able to win a lot of these gunfights. And even with Caden, with Ivan in play, Ivan doesn't play in a way that sets up Pyrox. A lot of times that is the job of somebody like Fatal or Matumbo. And I just think Pyrox is a little off today. Emilio walks directly into an Elamine, stuns him for a quick second, peeks. Fatal is down. There's an entry for JJ and Co.
I don't think the goo mines as well that he was carrying in his pocket that hadn't yet been spawned in, that could really be a very influential pick if JJ want to be fast later on. Crits, or World Destroyers rather, a lot of pressure on that top floor that Team Cruelty were going to be leaning into. It's not JJ and Co basically have control of it. They just have to physically open things up and get the map control they need, which is kind of the process they're in right now, taking the next 30-40 seconds to just poke at these defenders, figure out the positions they're playing in, then get in their own, or maybe just screw everything I'm saying and drop down.
I mean, there's no plant denial. Why not? Go for it. Now it's up to the defense to make a change. They get one. That's on to Snake, and have now cornered a player. Should be getting the kill. Matumbo as well. Everybody's in on the party. It's only Epic. He gets a second. Suddenly, this is incredibly winnable for the player up on the top floor. Spots the player through the crevices in the floor. And now 1v1 against Skimzy to decide the round. Downs the player! And Epic! A 1v4 post-plant might be sending JJ and Co to the semifinals. One more round to seal the deal.
I'm a little confused, to be honest, at the defense that we saw from Cruelty there. Is you were absolutely right. There's no plant denial actually on the site. Like, once JJ and Co took that top floor, they realized very quickly they could just drop it in plant, and there's literally nothing that Cruelty can do about it. And that position as well that Epic has, even though he's in that 1 versus 4, the diffuser is just in the perfect spot. You can't deny that plant without picking into the DMR, one of the most powerful guns in the game right now, wielded by someone who, for JJ and Co, has been very clutch in those types of situations. And you already have all of that momentum going in your favor from the previous map and from these previous rounds. Is JJ and Co have just been piling on that pressure, both mentally and in terms of the scoreboard, onto Cruelty to whittle them down slowly until they finally break.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse it.
Why not bring it back to the classics? The Blitz, the Montaigne.
Oh no.
You've seen this before. I think maybe, a Fenrir might or something in the mix. The Tuberal to slow the shields if they do enter in the same spot. Snake takes down Kaden. Pyrox low HP. It might be over. Fatal gets a trade. It seems like it's just going to be the 2 remaining Cruelty members against the world. Oh, so melee priority isn't a thing. Fatal gets the kill onto the Monty, but can't get anything else. And JJ and Co defy the odds, defy predictions. They are going to be going to the Crucible semifinals, winning 7-3 on Border.
I'm pretty sure my pick'ems, I had Team Cruelty winning this event.
Sucks to suck.
I guess so. Pox unlocks, man. He has the tech that we just haven't figured out yet. This JJ, I thought for sure, right, Consulate has to be a fluke. Between maps, Cruelty are going to sit down with their coach and discuss what the hell went wrong. Why is this map going like this? And it really, for a little bit, looked like they had figured it out. They had some great rounds on that attack where they thoroughly shut down that aggression from the JJ & Co defense. But then when they got to that attack, or when they got to their defenses, it just didn't translate. The Monty Blitzstrike worked for a 3rd round in a row. And then after that as well, just the adaptations always left such huge holes that JJ & Co would just spot and then wiggle their way into every single time. And it just created these unsustainable defenses that left so much on the table, so much room for JJ & Co to do whatever the hell they wanted. And it just doesn't work. And it sends them down, not even to a lower bracket, they're just out of the tournament now. A complete reversal of what we saw inside of Element 4.
Yeah, it's kind of rough for a team that has played so well, but I think losing not losing Ivan. He's not dropped. He's on vacation. That's what they said in all chat. He's in America right now, but clearly he was missed on map 2 and on map 3. And about what round was it? It was round 5, I think it was, on Consulate. That's when the tables turned, and from there it was over. It felt like the mental was gone for Cruelty. They had lost the momentum, and no adaptations were helping them at all, if they were actually making any adaptations. It's a rough map from them, rough series as well, but clearly JJ and Co, the way that they played, were just stumping this team.
Yeah, but it's unfortunate, right? Like, we really did see a beautiful first map out of Cruelty. They lost the first couple rounds, but they adapted so quickly to what JJ and Co were throwing at them. And JJ's answer is, all right, you want to play ball? I will play ball. I will play several balls, actually. While Team Cruelty is still trying to dribble with the basketball, JJ's rocketing a soccer ball into Fatal's nose, and as a survivor of a broken nose, I can tell you that is a very, very bad time.
Yeah, I want you to take one guess as to who the series MVP is.
Is it Recited?
Whoa, you're telling me the man that went like 13-2 in the second map and started off with 7 kills on Skyscraper and then going on to map 3? I don't know what his final kill tally was, but it was very high. The rest of JJ and Co. soar their way onto the semifinals, but their opponent has yet to be decided. It's going to be Friendship Team versus Space Shoobs. We are gone, replacing us a new casting duo, so make sure you stay right in your seat.